Hey guys, what's up? It's Finch here. We're back with another SPL Black-White game. For those of you who don't know, I've been bringing every single Black-White OU game I could from the Smogon Premier League, which is the most prestigious OU tournament in all of Smogon, both this year and historically. Every single generation of OU from 1 through 8 is played, including lots of Generation 8, but I happen to quite like Generation 5. It's the generation I grew up playing, both in-game and competitively, and it's also the tier that I still play to this day. I'm not going to bring my own games due to not wanting to spoil strategy or give too much suspense for when I bring them all to you after the tournament. I will be bringing you the other games played by the formidable competitors that make up the black and white player pool. This game will be between Crucify and Peng, two guys who I have a lot of respect for as players. Crucify is someone who's had a more recent ascend to stardom, if you will, making the finals of Smogon Classic, a deep run in both a couple of circuit tournaments in Black-White, which are unofficial tournaments, and Black and White Cup. Overall, he's more of a raw talent in the tier, someone who plays very well, but perhaps could use an assist in terms of team building and the fundamentals, and he has a couple people on his team, such as manager TDK, who can definitely play a role in that. As for Peng, on the flip side, Peng is more of a known black and white entity. His level of play is a bit more of a question mark perhaps than most because he hasn't been the most experienced in tournaments, but in terms of building, metagame knowledge, fundamentals are all top notch. I mean, along the best and most knowledgeable in the tier. He is very smart, just mind for the game in tier, and I'm always excited to see the teams he brings. It's kind of like opening Christmas Day presents kind of feeling, if you will, when you see what he brings, because he's always got a nice, cool spin on things. This game, he's using a cool combination of a couple concepts. In part, he's got the spikes plus psychic type spam, which is great because spikes can, wear out would-be checks, things like Tyranitar, Jirachi, Scizor, Ferrothorn, etc. That would check things like Latios, Alakazam, which it goes well, but also Magnezone plus Gliscor management in the same team, and Gliscor, Magnezone, Gliscor based in things like Ferrothorn are more like the Skarmory that Magnezone can take advantage of and trap. So yeah, definitely a lot of synergy going in Peng's team. Personally, I'm not super big on it. Besides from that though, it's pretty weak to some metagame threats that I am, I guess, high on right now, things like Volcarona. Now, the counter-argument is that the team could pressure it. Stealth Rock Gliscor is pretty safe early on in the game in most games. This game, not so much the case. And Stealth Rock does a number to it, but also just switching into Volcarona, switching into Balloon Terrakion, switching into Mamoswine. These things seem pretty hard and challenging for Peng's team, and I feel these trendy offensive picks are definitely a bit more prevalent than they were maybe a year or 2 years ago. And I reckon that could prove problematic to Peng when Crucify is more of a freewheeling offensive type of player, in particular with an affinity to hyper offense. And ironically enough, Crucify actually elected to bring that type of team here, and I definitely identify a couple of preview threats to Peng's team from Crucify's side. In part, it is the aforementioned Volcarona, in particular with Gliscor being incapable of setting Stealth Rocks up against the likely lead Taunt Aerodactyl. I guess it could also be Stealth Rock, Ferrothorn, and Swords Dance Gliscor, which would make some sense with Magnezone, but usually U-turn Gliscor pairs well with Magnezone anyway, and that intends around Stealth Rock, and that frees up Ferrothorn to not have to get spikes and rocks up, which means it can be more of a defensive presence as well, as opposed to just a hazard setter. And that's been a more trendy style, and Peng has been a big advocate of that in particular lately. So anyway, flipping back, Crucify, it's a surefire lead Aerodactyl here. You click Taunt against the Gliscor, Gliscor gets smart, and after it gets Poison Heal, U-turns there. That's going to happen no matter what. So ultimately, it's going to boil down to what happens after that. Now, if Peng is in the ideal spot, he's Scarf Latios, and then not only can he revenge kill El Keldeo, or Dragonite if it's healthy enough, but also then he can prevent the Aerodactyl from getting rocks up immediately and double switch out to Gliscor on the Jirachi and get rocks up despite the Aerodactyl being there. If that's the case, that's great. But I don't think he's Scarf Latios, and I don't think he's going to bluff it if he isn't either, because there's a chance that Gliscor just gets up rocks penalty free and then dies, and if you don't catch that Jirachi double like that, then you're just ended up in the same position anyway. Going a few turns ahead though, we're still at preview, I think that the combination of threats on Crucify's team is really good synergistically. Volcarona is obviously a great Pokemon here. It's very hard to switch into. It's likely Bug Gem because you don't see any Tyranitar lures or anything like that, so it's pretty free to just run 3 attacks here. Dragonite, truly Dragon Dance. It's not going to sweep ever, but it's able to really poke a hole. And not only, it probably forces to kill it and then gets chip on something else with extreme speed, like breaking Alakazam Sash, or if Scarf Latios getting chip on that, forcing it to lock into a move or be weakened. And that, opens up the door for something like Priority from Breloom to get a kill. Breloom itself is actually pretty hard to switch into as well. Thankfully, it's likely going to be 2 Pokemon outrun and one-shot it, but everything else on Peng's team doesn't want to face Breloom either. Jirachi, I'd imagine it's Healing Wish. I don't know if it's slow U-turn Healing Wish or Scarf Healing Wish. And in Keldeo, my guess is combined with a Gem or a Berry, but we'll have to wait and see. Overall, I definitely like Crucify's matchup more, though. And it's not saying Peng's team is bad, but it definitely isn't meant to kind of fit these retro-modernized Smurf concepts, i.e. setup spam with Dragonite and Volcarona, meant on, minimizing the presence of Stealth Rock on the opposing side. Rather than having Rapid Spin, he's got Lead Aerodactyl with Taunt, which is an interesting spin on it, of course. So let's see how that goes here. Again, we do see the Aerodactyl on the Gliscor matchup. Unsurprising. We're surely going to see a Taunt and a Protect. This is just a foregone conclusion. I have seen these games, but even as a neutral spectator, with someone with black-white knowledge, this is going to happen. Now, is it U-turn? It is U-turn. So yeah, this is fine start for Peng. Crit, it doesn't mean anything. Him going Magnezone here means he's not Scarf Latios, straight up. And that's fine, but I feel like you could go Latios and bluff it anyway, because now this invites in the Brain Loom. And now here's an interesting play. Swords Dance here leads me to believe that Crucify is probably going to be Grass Gem. Gliscor is almost always going to be minus speed IVs and min speed if it's going to be the Stealth Rock variant, because once you get the slow U-turn other Gliscor, and also it doesn't really have anything to outspeed, so that's really the only reason. And on top of that, even if it did outspeed Breloom, it couldn't do much damage to it. So yeah, you tend to remind the speed. But in this matchup, you wish you were quick because you click Stealth Rock, and yes, then you die afterwards to Grass Gem. But in this particular instance, it doesn't. However, if it's not Grass Gem, especially if it's a plus defense, because a lot of them are impish with a lot of special defense or even a lot of physical defense, depending on the team. You can get Rock Spear for Gliscor. Rocks up and trades for Gliscor's life is a huge win for the Peng side. All of a sudden, look at Alakazam when Volcarona is in range and Dragonite's in range and it can only extreme speed you. All of a sudden, you're relying a lot on Jirachi for Alakazam. You're relying a lot on Jirachi for switching into the Latios. The Magnezone, whenever it comes in, is a major threat as well. So on and so forth. It opens up the game way more than otherwise. So he would need 4 hits to kill a standard Gliscor if he's not Grass Gem. So I'm assuming he's Grass Gem, because otherwise, I think you go Breloom and then see, it's hard because you don't want Magnezone, but I think you would double the Volk. And it's on this team, it's either HP Ice Volk or it's modest Fire Blast, so you could dispose of Gliscor before you could do too much here, I'd imagine. And ultimately, I feel that was best play. Even if he stayed in with the Magnezone and HP fired into Volk, it doesn't change anything. I mean, the worst case would be he'd click T-Wave. And if you're not Lump Volk, which I'm assuming it's Gem, that would be bad, but I don't think he's T-Wave with Balloon. Balloon runs Magnet Rise always, so you kind of know the form move Magnet Rise, Sunny Power Fire, Thunderbolt. If you're not as familiar with Black-White. That's the standard Balloon zone. He revealed Balloon, as you see, so yeah, I feel like the worst you do is just take Hidden Power Fire for 20% with Volk. So I felt like that was an open double route there, and he didn't take advantage of it. So that leads me to believe he's Grass Gem. So let's see here. And he's not, but he gets a critical hit and bullet seed. Now there's a chance that it would have hit 4 times and killed anyway, but that's not a favorable chance. And that puts Peng in a oh god. Oh boy. So Peng, who is a close friend of mine, and started off rough week 1. He didn't play his best, but he's definitely trying his best. I wanted him to win this game, man. I did. I really did. And that's not anything against Crucify. I think Crucify's a really fucking good player who brought a really lovely team. This is one of my favorite teams, but man, just seeing the sequence, it pained me to my core. Poor dude. Oh man. And I feel so bad. But the crit sucked and probably took away his win path altogether because rocks were really needed. But let's say he had any hope of winning from there. If he keeps healthy Latios, it's still okay looking. Potentially. Because at least you can check Keldeo, and if it's a lure set, it could damage Jirachi or trick Jirachi. If it's Scarfield, it's not longer quicker than Alakazam. I mean, you go further down the list, you could revenge kill plus Euro Dragonite, and so on and so forth. But he misses Draco into a Fighting Gem low sweep, which of course takes it out at +2 because it's Technician Breloom, and even if it didn't, Mach Punch would have. But yeah, so oof. Yeah, that really sums it up. I mean, the game's over at this point. You look at the screen. I mean, you just click next turn. All of a sudden, now look at the position. Where it went from. I mean, even if you stay in here and just break the Sash for Alakazam, you're basically playing. It's 4-4, but you've got a substantial advantage. Dragonite with the Dragon Dance just wins. Volcarona with Quiver Dance just wins. If it's Aqua Jet Keldeo, which is more of a range set, it would just win. Also, if Payapa Berry Keldeo, it would just win. Draw with Healing Wish to revive any of those potentially. Slow you to check Alakazam. Rocks are no longer up any potential going up because the score is dead, and you got 2 real quick Pokemon standing in the back. It's just over. But we'll play it out anyway. I mean, at this point, yeah, he goes Jirachi here. Psyshock does 9, reveals no lefties. Probably Scarf, could be Shucker or Citrus though. Doesn't matter. We see U-turn, does 13, doesn't say much. We just see Breloom here. I guess Volk would have made the same sense, but doesn't matter. Low sweep. Illumi is the least useful Pokemon now with Alakazam still being at full, so it's already done its job. Needless to say, getting those 2 kills. Full power here, but yeah, you see it spikes. It's not Rocks Pharaoh, so that doesn't help enough here. Clearly it was Rocks Gliscor. He clearly went for Rocks in the Bullet Seed turn, and that crit, took away any chances. I think Crucify had a very fine chance of winning the game regardless for what it's worth. Rocks or no Rocks, but like, this took a playable game from Peng and made it completely unplayable, and that's tough. But all this sucks, and it does suck. 100%. Crucify played optimally, in my opinion. Crucify used a strong, innovative, creative team with a fun style that's trending more now. So major props to Crucify. I don't hold this loss against Peng though, man. That's tough. That's tough. And yeah, we're gonna see parry here, but again, this is all last ditch. Scarf Jirachi wins here. Keldeo kills this and forces in Alakazam, and then it loses to Extreme Speed plus whatever. The game's over. Is the point. We see 1 Iron to take this out. Alakazam comes in here, and that'll be that. It's gonna be a good game. Crucify is going to emerge victorious with his first ever SPL/Sheet win. Unfortunately, Peng does not quite get the same fate, but maybe that'll change in the coming weeks. Hopefully not this coming week, though, because he plays me for week 3, so we're not going to see Peng again until week 4, potentially, or further on in the tournament. We'll wait and see. Crucify, though, we'll be seeing plenty of. I don't play Crucify quite yet, so yeah, be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you thought about the game, mainly the teams. I guess the game wasn't much, only ended 19 turns, and obviously was ridden with unfortunate circumstances, but that's life. I hope you guys enjoyed. Like, comment, subscribe. Okay, bye. Oh shit.